Hi guys, this is Dario from Gamers. I'm here with on day 3 of IEM Hanover, sitting here with Dario TLO Wünsch, whom I don't fancy too much today because his win against Grubby cost me €5. Against Moritz from Fragster, we bet €5.
Yeah.
I thought that Grubby would beat you, but then you kind of won and screwed me over. So let's jump over to this very important game, obviously. How the hell did you beat Grubby and why did you make me cry?
Well, first of all, I could reimburse you because by beating Grubby, I at least won €50 at this tournament.
Who bet you?
No, just because I'm fifth in my group and not sixth, you get €50 more than just by qualifying. So, yay! Well, I think Grubby kind of expected me to play the styles I used to play against him in our previous matches where he beat me. So he was unprepared when I mixed it up.
How did you mix it up?
I played a lot of swarm host based play previously, especially 2-base push. I trained a lot against him. And on Cloud Kingdom, for example, I took a very unusual 3rd base. So he thought I'm going 2-base again, and then I went Mutas instead. And also, I had a nice Baneling landmine against his Immortal All-in, which worked out perfectly. So, I don't know, I just beat him.
That's fair enough.
I'm thinking more about how to beat Terran than how I beat Grubby, so my mind is more occupied with that.
Do you think Terran is that hard to beat for Zerg at this point?
I think it's extremely difficult because your options are more limited than in Wings of Liberty, and Terran has more options than before.
How is that possible? You have more units.
But swarm hosts are completely useless against Terran, so that doesn't help you at all. And Vipers are extremely late game. Vipers are very good against Terran, I'm not going to argue with that, but until you get to Vipers, you have less options because you can't really make a circling-based playstyle anymore because Widowmines and Halberds are too strong against circlings to make that possible. So you're kind of stuck with Roach Hydra in a lot of situations. And that's very limited in what you can do with that.
What about ZVP? I know there's been a lot of complaints about this matchup as well. Like Protoss can turtle to 3 bases, get Void Rays, kill stuff up immediately. So did you find this matchup to be hard as well?
Well, I think most Protoss are playing it pretty wrong at the moment. I'm very happy they haven't really figured out what I'm doing yet because I beat Snoot as Protoss when I play Protoss. And I'm not going to tell you guys, but Protoss hasn't realized yet when they're playing against Zerg that they're not on a timer anymore. There used to be that Broodlord Infested timer, and then they have to hit timings before that is possible for Zerg to accomplish. But now the timer's gone, which means Protoss never has to ever attack. Like, Protoss should actually never move over the middle of the map ever again. Like after the 10-minute mark, just stay on your 3rd base, get your 4th base extremely slowly, don't rush it, just keep in your base, don't do anything, and I don't think Zerg can actually do anything about it. Because Protoss has a unit which has the longest range, is an air unit, can shoot ground and air, and they also have the best defensive capabilities, which are 2 concepts that shouldn't go together in my opinion, and never ever went together in any RTS I ever played before either.
Maybe it's gonna be nerfed.
It's like Broodlords which can shoot air and also have as much range as tanks.
Yeah, if you put it that way, that kind of sounds ridiculous.
It doesn't have splash damage, but for that you have Templar.
If it has splash damage, it would have been too much. I think
Yeah.
So, are you saying that the time of 2-base timing attacks, all-ins, immortal stuff like this in PvZ are over basically, and we can just get more macro games in this matchup?
Well, I think 2-base all-ins on top of that are also stronger. But because of the Mothership core, you can do an immortal all-in, for example, or 2-base timing. And as soon as things start going bad, you can just recall home. So you get like a second chance to still recover the game. So Protoss doesn't really have any all-in anymore. It's more like pressure builds that can backfire a little bit, but aren't entirely all-in. Like if you go immortal all-in,
It's not all-in anymore.
you can kill the 3rd base, and after that, usually you would lose your army or something because Zerg has enough to overwhelm you. But now you just kill the 3rd and go home.
Sounds pretty good.
It's pretty good.
We were talking to Kilaris in day one, and we were talking to him about this Zerg feeling quicker, and his opinion was that Zerg now needs something mid-gamey that needs to push them into a strong late game, because he said that, well, late game is not particularly super weak, it's not unwinnable in late game, but
The problems to get there. Yeah.
exactly. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Late game compositions are still really nice for Zerg, but you used to get there by Wings of Liberty because you could trade very efficiently. You could get ahead in economy, and then from that lead you could transition into the late game. Because even in Wings of Liberty, your mid game army was much weaker than a mid game Protoss army, but you had more of it, so you could deal with it. You could deal with it very well. Infested Terrans were obviously a very good way to do it, but now in Heart of the Swarm, Terran and Protoss both got buffs in mid game basically, and Zerg only got weaker in mid game because creep spread is much slower, and you don't have any mid game units to deal with anything.
Okay, so you mentioned you're playing Protoss, you beat Snoot with Protoss, etc. etc. How many of the other races do you actually play actively, or is it just from time to time to see how things are?
Well, I didn't play that much. I played like a few dozen games as Terran and as Protoss, and I think there's still a lot of potential Protoss especially isn't using yet, which is gonna make it even more scary.
Are you considering switching races?
No.
Zerg?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm pretty confident Blizzard is going to be able to like get things properly balanced, and we Zergs probably have a lot of things to still think of too, and we can improve. So this is like no reason for me to switch race now. I think if I would switch race, I would lose more time having to relearn another race to play it on the highest level. Then, you know what's nice about being the underdog is that it usually means you improve faster. You now have to think about what you can improve in a game. You're gonna find a lot of mistakes so that you try to get rid of like the smallest things you can still optimize to still be able to win. And then after a while, if the balance is better, you're gonna be a better player than before.
Okay, so if we go like 3 years back in Wings of Liberty beta, you were kind of the only player that played actually random and actively and winning. So obviously in Heart of the Swarm and 3 years into competitive StarCraft 2, nobody can do this anymore. But hypothetically, if Heart of the Swarm wasn't tied to a tournament schedule and you didn't have to practice one race to compete on a higher level, would you go back to playing random?
Probably not, because I really want to perfectionize my game. So I'm just gonna stick with one race.
So we're never gonna see a random TLO, which, as a fan, I'm crushed. But then again,
Not in StarCraft 2 at least.
that's StarCraft 2. Well, okay, so there's something to look forward to. Some other game, Warcraft 4.
Like, I mean, I hope there's gonna be RTS coming after StarCraft 2 that are hopefully even better. So that would be great.
Okay, so during this event there was actually a team league announced, Team Story Cup by Take, and the 4 teams are you guys, Liquid, you have Mouse, Axiom, and Team Acer. 4 more teams will obviously come later from qualifiers, but at this lineup particularly, where do you rate your team?
I think we are the favorites. We have a lot of team league experience. We had some really good finishes, and we're just gonna crush it.
And will you use anybody besides Tager to do this?
Nah, I mean, why would you? Team Tager just works out perfectly.
Okay, so Team Tager for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Team Tager 2013.
Make it happen. So, I'm kind of wanted to expand more on this question. Like, in recent times, it was only Tager that was doing exceptionally from Liquid. All of you guys were having lackluster performance. Like, you would do really, really well, and then mediocre, or something that did not follow up on the hype that you guys have with extreme good performance. Do you take this? Do you see this as a problem overall, team-wise, that there isn't really a stable player to be 100% reliable all the time besides Stagia?
Well, I mean, it kind of works for us because we have like a lot of volatile personalities in Team Liquid. So as soon as somebody hits like a peak, somebody else hits a valley. But that means you're always gonna have somebody peaking who makes up for the guy in the valley. So we kind of look out for each other like that. Which means because we are so close, all of us, we are not that worried about your peaks and valleys because we function as a team. So as long as somebody is doing well and then the next guy's turn is coming up. I mean, obviously I would prefer if everybody would be on the peak.
It's kind of impossible.
But yeah, we all still have to try better than we do at the moment. There's still a lot of unused potential.
Okay, so you lost several players recently, most recently Noni leaving. How hard is, because you mentioned your guys are like family, how hard is losing a player to see him retire? Like obviously now it's Heypro, Jinro and Noni. Shed I think is also inactive. I don't know if he's back to active training, but I think not. So how hard is basically becoming a player short?
Well, it doesn't feel as bad for us as it feels for the fans because all those guys are still in our team chat and we're still talking to them on the regular basis. So basically they're still as much part of the family as before. So they're just friends without a TL jersey at the moment, but you know.
You have to miss them when you go to compete somewhere and they don't come with you, or do they?
Well, yeah, that's the sucky part about it. That you don't meet them as much in person anymore, but Shinro went to DreamHack, and Heypro obviously is probably going to go to DreamHacks as well. So we are still going to run into each other. And when I go to Korea for some month or two, like to train at some point, I'm going to meet Shinro again, and you know, it all works out.
Okay, so by the time this interview is up, the groups will have finished. So we'll know all 12 players that's advancing to the playoffs. Oh,
they can get the bracket.
Yeah, they just finished. So overall, quick prediction: who's taking IEM home? Korean, foreigner, and if it's a foreigner overall, which foreigner? If it's a Korean overall, which foreigner will make it the farthest?
I think Stefano's gonna make it the furthest out of the foreigners. And we're probably going to have, if the bracket works like that, we're going to have a Youngwa MVP final.
Youngwa MVP, so
yeah.
No foreigner in the finals?
No.
Stefano can't beat them?
I don't think he can.
He just lost to Dream, we saw it before the interview. Yeah. Dream? It was a really close game.
But MVP and Youngwa are even better, so I'm sorry, but I don't think he can do it.
No foreigners, that's not cool, but then again, probably reality. So thank you for staying.
I mean, if you would be betting money, would you pick a foreigner or a Korean?
I'm not betting money anymore. I'm not giving any more money to Fraxter. If you want, I can bet you something because I kind of like you.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. Okay, I won't be losing any more money today. So if you have final words, this is the time before we close this up.
Yeah, sure. Big thanks to all of our sponsors as always: Twitch TV, Razer, the Little App Factory, and recently Barracuda. You should always check out our tweets because they're actually hiring people, software engineers and all that kind of stuff. So you guys can find a shop because of our sponsors, which is awesome. And see you guys at the next tournament. Sorry for not performing as well as you probably hoped I would, but you know, next time I guess.
Okay, so this was Nydra with TLO. We'll bring you more stuff tomorrow and day 4 as the tournament progresses. We kick out with playoffs. It's gonna be great, I hope. So just stay tuned for us and we'll bring you more stuff as the tournament goes by.